right, thank you for staying with the Monday Report. The discussion starts now. You can send in your questions or comments at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Monday Report. My guest in studio, let me introduce them real quick. Honorable Wavinya Ndeti, thank you so much for making time. She's the former Transport Chief Administrative Secretary, now going for Machakos Governor's seat. Engineer John Mosenek, former Mining and Petroleum Chief Administrative Secretary, asante for making time, now going for Bomet Governor. And Engineer, I'll start with you. So what inspired you to move away from an appointive position to an elective one?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Trevor. Maybe slightly going back in times, where I've worked many times, I mean, before. You see, ideally, actually, I'm a telecoms engineer.
Yeah.
So I work in telecom sector for quite a while, after about 20 years.
Yeah.
And then I went to private sector. And then from that now, I came back to government, Minister of Industrialization. From that, I was appointed PS Infrastructure. And then here I am now as, CIS, Petroleum and Mining.
Yeah.
Now, if you see most of these positions, it's more or less serving the common people of the Kenyan citizens. And if you see again, mostly is to deal with what we call a project kind of management. So if I can probably say where I really cherish most in working in my life is actually within the government cycles, not even the private sector, not even the parastatals and so on. Yeah. Because it brings out the leadership which you have in you. And then again, bring you in contact with the common people. Yeah. Unlike probably when I was in ICT, I was dealing with a specialized kind of people, the engineers or people who are not the common people. Probably they didn't have telephone telephone or mobile systems. So I think at this point in time, I think where I really got a lot of experience and a lot of, I would say, calling really to go down to the people was when I was in PS Infrastructure, where I really went across the country in doing all the projects and so on. And I appreciated the kind of problems in which the common man who are really, undergoing quite often. So I think you ask a pertinent question, what really motivates one? I think more or less the way you perspective, some are probably looking for a job, some are, they want recognition or the kind of promotion. But the way I look is a calling in the sense that you really, if I can be able to participate in trying to bring up the living standard of the common people in Kenya, and especially, I say, in Bomet, that will be my kind of, ambition or my kind of satisfaction. So I think that is more or less what I want, And apart from that, if specifically you ask, let's say, in Bomet, this way I grew up. And you see common people, we mix every now and then and so on. So if I can be able to contribute the experience which I've already got within the, in government or private sector, to be able to develop their kind of, to bring up their living standard, I think that will be my kind of, achievement and satisfaction. Okay. So I think that is probably what is bringing me to that.
Right. Honorable Ndeti, you've been on both sides, actually. You've been a member of parliament before, and now you're a CAS. Now you want to go back to the elective positions. What have you learned as a CAS in this administration that you think you can deliver on better on an elective position and not an appointive position?
It depends on where you are. And it depends on you as a person and where you are. Like I've been the Chief Administrative Secretary, and being there, I've been able to deliver. Yeah? So it doesn't really matter, which part of whether you're elected or not elected. If you're a performer and you're able to deliver, you deliver. I've been able to deliver on both sides. As you know, first I was elected as a member of parliament for Kadhiani constituency. And I was very young then. Kadhiani constituency was part of Mavoko and the Greater Kadhiani, which was General Mulinge's constituency. So for me, working with people, working with Mwananchi has been in my life. And even before I was elected a member of parliament, I am the pioneer of computer project for schools. So I was going around the country, taking computers into primary schools and secondary schools. That was 1997, 1998. So working with community has really been part of me, and I feel when I'm not there, I am lost. Being also working as a chief administrative officer in this government, working as an assistant minister. Also, I worked in Kibaki's government and as an assistant minister in the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. That involves working with the people. So where I'm working and dealing with people gives me a lot of satisfaction. And there's a question where I want to repeat again. You said, does it make any difference? Are you not able to maybe perform because you're a chief administrative secretary, or maybe because you have, how do I say, maybe you're there, you have a boss above you. But I can say I've gotten a very good boss where everybody just works on their own. If it is projects, you follow those projects and see them through. Because for us, it's just with the Ministry of Transport, Infrastructure, Housing, Shipping and Maritime, is to deliver the projects and deliver them on time. Efficiently, effectively, and on time. And everyone's job, everyone has their own job description on what to do. And in my ministry, I was able to deliver, because also my CS gave me the leeway to work as me.
What would you say, what would you change in the public sector, given a chance, having been on both sides, that will then allow people like the Chief Administrative Secretary or even the CS themselves to work more effectively? Are there some rigors in government that should change to allow for smooth flow? Is there some too much bureaucracy? What is the one thing you would change to allow an easy workflow?
When I look at things now, they're not like before. If we generate projects, we generate them from the public. The public gives us the projects that they want. And we take them to, we do the budget. We take it to Parliament for approval. Once we get approval, it's a seamless. When I look at it now, things work seamlessly, not like before. So I don't. Maybe what kind of improvement would I?
There's nothing you.
I think we need to collect more money efficiently and effectively. We need to see how we can generate more income as a country, increase our GDP, and looking at that, a country is made out of counties. Now, Kenya is not just Kenya without the counties. What are these other counties doing to increase the GDP of this country? Every county must think now, how are we going to increase our income? How are we going to increase, how are we going to generate more income for our counties so that we can at least increase the GDP of Kenya? You cannot just look at the national government alone to increase the GDP. So for me, I would rather the change is for us to work together as a team with the counties to raise Kenya to the level that you want. And then we also compete in raising our GDPs as counties. Each county should be looked at. How does this, which is the best county, which is the best county in this country in generating income? There should be a competition. All
right. Engineer, what would you change to enhance efficiency in the public sector? Or is it just a perception that there is a bit of too much bureaucracy?
I think, in my opinion, again, having been in infrastructure and also in petroleum and mining, I would say it's very efficient in a way. And quite often also depends, let's say, on the leadership. You see, I'll give you an example. If you were able to deliver, let's say, 8,000 or 7,000 kilometers, which was a very, very tight target, actually, in terms of kilometers of roads. This is a government, actually, delivering that. So I think this notion of saying, actually, the government, a lot of bureaucracy and so on, it depends from department to department, and it depends on the leadership and so on. So I think my colleague here is, you put it in terms of efficiency. I think efficiency is let's look at it in a global perspective, in terms of utilizing of resources. So resources means if you have clarity in the projects which you want to do, I think from that perspective, and then clear kind of supervision and so on, I think things should be able to work. Yeah. Quite often, where probably you are saying, where you are talking in terms of, let's say, bureaucracy, maybe the approvals of the budget going all the way up to Parliament, and so maybe public participation. Now, the process, I think that is probably something which may take time. Yeah. And also quite often also dealing with development partners, and also that part also quite often in terms of approval. But once you have the budget in place, once you have everything in place, you arrange your team. Okay. And I assure you that one really is very efficient.
Okay. Let me bring up some feedback and then we get to the politics of it all. You're running with the UDA, right? Yep. Engineer Musonik?
Yes.
And you're running with Wiper?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get back to that in just a bit. Let's see what the feedback you're saying in terms of the videos that have been sent in and get their response. Let's bring up the first one.
I would like to ask those individuals living their appointed positions to seek elective posts during this election season. How sure are we that they are not, they are just looking for money, wealth, but not serving us?
Are you inspired by looking for wealth and not service for Kenya? That's the question to ask.
Yes. If you never looked for money before you got into politics, you will not make money when you're in politics. You must have, in your previous life, you must have run your life very well. Some of us worked. I worked in the United Kingdom. Yeah, I studied in the UK. I worked there. I worked at the City University in London. I worked at the Metropolitan University. I worked at the Enfield Community Care Trust in London. Yeah. I worked at the National Physical Laboratory. That includes Scotland, Wales, and London. Yeah. Yeah, the three countries. So you must, you must have made your money
fast. So you're saying politics is for rich people?
No, it's not for rich people. I had to work hard. Okay. You know, in life you have to work hard to be where you are. Because if you go and start taking public money, then you get into trouble. Okay. Yeah.
But you can't go into politics when
that money is not enough. Like I tell you, I was #1 on utilization of taxpayers' money, CDF money, because I never touched Mwananchi's money. If you eat their money, then now you're not able to deliver. You're not able to deliver for them. Yeah. So public funds, you just keep away from them and look for ways of generating your own income. Yeah. You can get loans from the bank. You can get loans from the banks. You can invest in properties. Okay. You can invest in other things that will generate income for you instead of you touching Mwananchi's money. Okay. There are many ways you can make in life. Okay. So it's not about money. You have to think outside the box.
Okay. Engineer, are you going for this just to make wealth?
I don't think, again, that's what I've said again, is quite often it's a perception that people probably they are looking when you're appointed to a higher position. But again, it depends on what you call the discipline, the discipline within yourself, and what is the calling really, which you really want to do amongst the people. Just like what I said earlier is, you know, if somebody was really looking for money, maybe in transport or in, as we are saying, infrastructure or earlier kind of organization where we worked for. Yeah. But I think at this point in time, and maybe at our age, I think more or less we want to achieve that kind of satisfaction and leave a legacy really within amongst our people. I think that is the main driving factor. Contribute to the society on what you can be able to look back in future and say, this is it.
Okay. So okay, let's bring up the next one.
Are you convinced that what you've done in the appointive position will convince Kenyans and the electorates of Machakos County to elect you, Wavinya Ndeti, in the upcoming elections? Thank you.
That was direct to you, Honorable Wavinya.
Yes. I'm sure I'll be able to convince the people of Machakos to vote for me, and my record speaks for itself. Not just now when I've been the Chief Administrative Secretary, even before. There's a lot that I've been able to do for Machakos people. Yeah. So there's a lot I can put on the table and tell them I've been able to achieve this and this. Yeah. When we look at roads, we have done over 200, close to 200 roads in Machakos, which I can name one by one through Kera. There's work that we have done through Kenya in Machakos. In Machakos County, there's work we have done through Kura.
Yeah.
There's what we have done through the Ministry of Housing.
So given a chance by the people of Machakos, what is the one thing you'd want to fix that you think is not going on the right way right now?
The biggest problem that our people have is putting food on the table and having money in their pockets.
Yeah.
So like my clarion call is that, I would say it in Kikamba, leume sane, mbesa mubukoni.
Okay, what does that
Chakula
mean?
mezani,
Okay.
pesa mfukoni.
Okay.
Our people want to have food on the table and money in their pockets.
Okay.
How are we going to make sure that they have food on the table and money in their pockets? We have to make sure any projects, anything that is being done within the county is done by the people of Machakos. Yeah? And if it's a ward, in that ward, if there's any project, let the people within that ward work on that project. They'll be able to get some money, yeah, working in the project within that ward. They'll be able to put food on the table and money in their pockets.
Yeah.
And also like the women groups, the women groups, the men groups, the barrio groups, there are many. You know, you can have like one with 400. Yeah. How can we change these groups into companies? Yeah? We make them have limited companies. Yeah? Once we change them into limited companies, we are able to give them work. These groups, they have engineers. They have very qualified people who are able to do even building jobs and all that. So if we give these groups the work, then we are giving money back to the people. Okay. Circulation of the money locally is very important. Okay. And that is why you see His Excellency started by saying now any project that is being done has got to be given lazima ipatiwe the people from ground. Like the classrooms now. Yeah, they are being built by the people from the ground. Okay. Like we have the classrooms, we have the desks. Okay. Like now in Kera, all the roads are being done locally by local people. Yeah. We have these other big jobs now, like even in Kenya. Okay. Yeah. And in Kenya and Kura that are being done by people locally. Okay. That now
so empower the grassroots. Okay.
Empowering the grassroots is very important.
All right. Let me bring in engineer on this. Engineer, speaking of empowering the grassroots, counties have what is called a CIDP, County Integrated Development Plan. How will you enhance the efficiency of that so that people feel like they are involved in this and whatever they put down that needs to be done is done and it benefits them?
Yes, again, so thank you again. I think one thing which I want to appreciate again, my colleague here mentioned some routes in Machakos, which which were completed about how many kilometers, 200 kilometers and so on, 400 actually to be exact. So what we are saying earlier was when you do something, you leave a legacy. If you see somebody mentioning something which you are part of that, you are very happy. Now, going to CIDP, you know, normally the process of coming up with that document is based on what you call the priorities. But in my thinking, again, is you look at what the national government probably is gearing it to. Like now we have the Big Four agenda in terms of manufacturing, food security, nutrition, we have housing. So what you should be able to do is actually to align some of those kind of critical kind of success factors to the national people. So first, I would say is first and foremost, you identify what is it that you want to do within the next 5 years or 3 years or 4 years. So once you have identified the resources which are supposed to channel to make sure that you achieve those projects. So I would see is the key issue in terms of what you call efficiency. Efficiency means actually you complete on time and then use the resources which you actually budgeted for that kind of project. Mm-hmm. Because the main problem which I have seen over the last few weeks when I go when I go around in the county is a project which were not completed and you have spent money in those projects. That is the inefficiency which you are actually driving at. So before you start the project, what you be, first of all, is a priority, which will have positive impact within the society. That one is agreed.
Yeah. And
you can get that kind of information through public participation. Second is to make sure that you have resources, to make sure that you complete those projects, which you put have in place. And then you have resources in terms of budgeted, in terms of people, technical people, and so on. And then the other aspect is now close supervision, and people who should be able to make sure that that project is completed in time.
Yeah.
And you see the first term of devolution, I think, you know, that thing was still incalculated within the management of the counties. And you find a lot of projects really were rushed and were not completed. So that is why there were, what we call absorption for some money was very low, or even overspent, but not really getting the value for those kind of money. But I would say again, in the second term, the evolution right now, I think the systems have been put in place, which again can be able to monitor to make sure that the public resources are used prudently. Yeah. And then apart from that is supervision. I think more or less we have technical personnel, is to rally these people and provide the leadership in which you can be able actually to deliver those kind of projects.
Okay. But
I think that is it.
But Wavinya, this goes to both of you, because the practical things you're going to meet on the ground, one of them is delayed funds disbursement from the national government. And by the way, even if it comes, you're spending more than 70% on recurrent expenditure. How are you going to achieve all this development you're talking about? How will you address the issue of delayed disbursement of funds to the counties? Because we've seen some employees even attempt to go on strike because they've not been paid for more than 4 months. As the governor, how will you address that?
Yeah, maybe I can go into that. You know, Trevor, you know, the big problem is if we have to achieve the key objectives of devolution, or the broad objectives of devolution, the national government has to work very, very closely with the county government.
Okay.
You cannot be able to, even if I have very good programs which I want to put in place, without being support from the national government, you cannot be able to achieve. Even if you are going to generate your revenue, again, that part of revenue has to come to the national government so that they are allocated accordingly within your budget. Yeah. So I think there should be discussion and agreed timelines in terms of disbursement for funds between the national government and the county government. And if devolution has to succeed, the two partners, the two actually have really to work hand in hand to be able to achieve those kind of projects. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think he's right. The two have to work together.
Okay.
Yeah, to ensure that at least things run efficiently and effectively. Because if they don't, the mwananchi is the one that suffers. So we have to find a way of working with the national government so that at least funds can come to the counties on time. Because you see some of the even governors are suffering because of some of those issues. And when the money doesn't come on time, the workers, the mwananchi, suffers because those people also have families. So working together as partners is very important. Okay. So there has to start a good conversation between the two, the counties and the national government.
Okay. Yeah. Let's bring up some of the video questions that are coming in, or video comments as well.
Now that they have resigned from their work, which way forward or which plan do they have in case they fail to get the seats which they want to vie for?
Wavinya, what if Wiper doesn't give you the ticket?
I'm a professional. I'm a businesswoman. I've got things that I run. Okay? And, you know, one has got to have, it's not just one life. One has got to have a fallback plan.
So you're saying if you don't get this, you will go and do your own things at home?
I know, God willing, I'm going to get it. I'm very confident about it. I would not have left my job. I would not have left my job if I did not know that the people of Machakos have confidence in me that I'm going to work for them. Okay. But it's always good to have, I remember my dad used to say, you must have something on the side that brings you some little income so that you can always have a fallback. Okay. Yeah, it is very important for everyone. When you get into politics, just don't get and forget that you have a life after politics. We have seen a lot of people who get into politics, and once they leave, they just disappear. They become, you know, poor. You meet and you're told this one was a member of parliament, or this was an MCA. You just feel sorry for them because they just concentrated. You know, you had a life before then. What were you doing then? Even if you had, don't let it go. Continue doing. You know, it's called as, what do you call, a side
hustle.
Side hustle.
Okay.
Just make sure you have your side hustle.
Okay.
Don't just drop everything because of politics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Engineer? What happens if you miss this? And yours is a particularly interesting race because you're going against Isaac Ruto, Dr. Hilary Barachok, who's also the incumbent.
No, what you say is a very, very competitive arena, actually, especially those hotspots in Kenya. First and foremost, you know, I've been doing quite a lot of community work, assisting in terms of churches, in terms of schools, in terms of educating needy children, and so on. And then apart from that, even in government, we have been very involved in many, many road projects and across the board. So doing that kind of thing is, I think getting into politics is an extension of what has been doing before. Yeah. Except the difference is now you'll be fully in charge in the implementation of those kind of projects. Now, I want to agree that when you are going for something, you go to the end and you get it. But there is this 5% in case you don't get it. Which I'm saying again is you have your private life. And for me is I'll continue assisting the community in different kind of ways. Yeah. Not in a big way, you know, but in my own small way. We're still trying, if you are educating kids for needy families, we still do that as a family. If we have been there, say, doing charges and so on. Yeah. And then apart from that, you know, I don't like what you call confrontational kind of line in terms of if somebody doesn't get, I'm going to create problems. I think that is not the way we should be able to go. In
so
any kind of contest,
you concede and go.
No, in any kind of contest, there must be a winner and there must be a loser. Okay. But yeah, and of course, what is important is the way you lose or the way you win. Yeah. That is very, very important.
Are you in one way conflicted? You're running with UDA, right?
Yep.
Which is a party headed by the deputy president.
Correct.
The president himself and the deputy president don't seem to be seeing eye to eye. It's the president who appointed you. Are you conflicted that do you feel like you're betraying his cause for choosing a different path?
No, it's not really. You know, before even I came out, you know, I had to resign. And having resigned, actually, I had to make my decision in terms of going forward. So based on that decision, of course, there are many parties in different kind of regions. Like maybe my colleague is Wiper, the others could be ODM, and Uda probably in the Rift Valley. So I don't think, and I must really appreciate the appointment by the president. We did many, many good projects. I appreciate the kind of, the opportunity they gave me to serve during that kind of period. Yeah. Now, it is high time now that also I ventured into a different kind of arena, politics, which you are saying. So going to that, there are many considerations that you should be able to do. First of all is which vehicle probably should take you to where you want, which at this point in time, I'm actually buying in UDA ticket. Yeah. So I think that is it. So in any way, I have a lot of respect for the head of state. I have a lot of respect, and even during my resignation, I said, thank you, but this also I disclosed and said this is where I'm going. Okay. There is something which I didn't hide.
Okay, so this was clear from the onset. Yeah. Honorable Wavinya, you're a member of Wiper. There's been a lot of talk about Wiper should join either coalition. What are your thoughts on it? Should Wiper join either Azimio or the Kenya Kwanza team?
You know, Wiper is in Oka. Mm-hmm. You saw we signed some agreements about a week ago.
Absolutely.
And being in Oka, we're in discussion with other parties of like mind. Yeah. And I can tell you tomorrow, we are having a NEC meeting. Whatever decision we make, we normally make decisions as a party. It's not His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo who makes decisions on his own. So, like tomorrow, we are having a NEC meeting, which will also be part of that discussion. So whatever we do, we are in Oka. Yeah, whatever we agree, we have to agree within Oka. And after we agree within Oka, then now our principals go out there and talk to the parties that we have like minds with them.
Okay. Let's bring up another question that's coming in on video.
dear leaders, what is that very big substantive difference between an elective post and an appointed post? Thank you.
Engineer, what is the stark difference?
I think there is no difference when I look at it myself. Elected means you get mandate from the people. Mm-hmm. Appointment means you are appointed by somebody in higher authority between, and then quite often elective also means in terms of, executing, you have more kind of autonomy in terms of executing. But all these positions are leadership positions. And leadership means you set the direction for any kind of organization. Assuming, let's say, you've been appointed to be a managing director of a certain. Yeah. So that gives you responsibility of setting a direction for that organization. The same thing also appointed, let's say, as a permanent, as a principal secretary. That gives you an opportunity to set the direction for that company. Elective position also is based on what you call manifesto. What is it exactly that you are going to do? What is this future you want to take your county to? So I think there is no major difference in terms of those is you are leading, except in terms of reporting, whom are you responsible to? Elective, you are more or less reporting to your people in terms of what you discuss, what you agree to in terms of going forward. Yeah. In terms of appointment authority, you are also reporting to your appointing authority, but still dealing with certain clusters of people which you are supposed to do.
Okay. Wavinya, what is the stark difference for you?
I think he has explained it very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elective, you have the mandate from the people. Appointed, you're appointed by someone to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it also depends appointment, whether it's the blue chip companies where you're working for, or it's a government position. If you're given a position, if you're appointed by the president, he appoints you also on behalf of the people to work for the people.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. On that note, I have to take a quick break here on the Monday Report. When we come back, I'll take your questions here on Twitter. There are quite a number of them. We'll post them to the guests here in studio. Keep them coming at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Monday Report. See you in a bit.